Hello everyone, welcome once again to another Power BI related tutorial by Team Slidescope. In this part, we are doing Airbnb listings, host insights. We are creating this dashboard. This is part 3 of 5. So here we are solving questions like what percentage of listings belong to Superhost versus regular host. We will write simple DAX queries to solve or count total number of listings that are host, that are superhost. What is the average price by host? What is the average rating by host? Number of host versus superhost listing by time, and what are the top 5 hosts, or who are the top 5 hosts with the most listings. Since their name is not given here in the single data set that we have, so we are just using listing ID. So we have count, host listing, superhost listings. So here we'll apply a visual filter. So everything that you see here you will learn, and then you can see the filters to see city wise data. You can see neighborhood wise or price bin wise that we created in the first part. So this is part 3. In part 1 we did listing overview, part 2 we did pricing insights, now we are doing host insights. So let's get started with this tutorial. So we have done part 1 and part 2 in this project so far. In part 3 we have to do host insights. We have to create a report with host insights, like what percentage of listing belong to superhost versus regular host, host listing count, etc. So for that we will simply duplicate our data and we will rename it as host insights. This will be part 2 or part 3, so we can mark it as part 3, and this will be, instead of listing pricing insights, we will be writing listing host insights part 3 of 5. So now we will start with first question. First question says what percentage of listings belong to superhost versus regular host. So in the previous part we did one example where we use this particular chart, and in the chart in legend we put host is superhost here. So it will create a donut with these two values there, host and superhost. But in that part we did price. So here what we can do, here it is asking what percentage of listings. So here you can see we have listing ID for each listing in the data set. So what we are going to do is we will simply add the listing ID here, and that listing ID we will use count of listing ID. So here we'll add listing ID and count distinct. So when you do count distinct, it will automatically show percentage, and here we can go, and this is data labels which shows both data value and percentage. So we can say show percentage of total only because that is being asked in the question, and in values we can increase the size of that percentage. So this will be count of listing ID by host is superhost, but we will copy the question what percentage of listing belong to superhost versus this, and here we will go to general title and we can change. So this will be the question and answer. Now we can reposition because this is the first question, so we can reposition it here, and whatever will be needed we will remove and delete them. But this question answers our first question. This visual answers our first question. Let's say we want to calculate something like this separately, like we have to do some kind of calculation. So what I can do here is I can simply go to modeling tab, create a new table. This table is going to store our measures, and we can call it measures table. In measures table I will simply add first of all new measure which will have information of number of listings. This will use distinct count. So we are counting distinct count of the listing ID, which will bring this. So here we have the listing count. Obviously here accuracy score is given. We will add number of listings. The number of listings are 92,000. This is what we can get from here. Now we will say how many listings are there when you know. So we will use this particular measure itself, but with one filter. So this will be another column, and let's not a column actually. In measures table we are going to create another measure, and we will say host. Okay, so we can say host listings, like how many listings are host listings. So here we are going to use calculate. Expression will be same, listing count, or we can use number of listings directly also, but we can do one more time. So listing count of listing ID. So but here the filter will be that in our Airbnb table, this particular column which says host is superhost or not. So let host is superhost, its value equals host. So this way we are applying a filter in that particular calculation, and if you do that, that will be host listings. So let's say how many listings are host listings. So if you will do that, we can say out of 92,000, 69,000 are host listings. So obviously finding out other will be very easy, but we can do with the help of this same thing. So we can create another measure. Actually we can subtract them also, but we can calculate this. So this will be superhost listings, and here we just have to write superhost as it is, right? So once we will write superhost listings, because we are doing host insights, here instead of value for money we will write superhost listing. So you can see it is showing this number, that superhost listings are 39,000 and this is 69,000. And it may be possible that some hosts listing IDs are listed as both superhost and normal host. So either you can count them or you can do it like this, because here there are common listings. Second question is host listing count. How many listing does each host have? So that we already have number of host listings, and similarly we have also done superhost listings. Next it is asking top host. Who are the top 5 hosts with the most listings? In the previous part we solved the question top expensive listings, like listing when it comes to expensive we were considering pricing. Here they are asking who are the host. So they are asking who are the top 5 hosts with most listings. So here we will have listing ID, but we will remove this from table. So host, once we have the listing ID, and we actually applied a filter here, so we will clear the filter. So now we have the all listing IDs. Now what we have to do is we have to count how many listings do they have. So here we will try to add listing ID one more time, and here we will write count listing. So or maybe count, sorry, because we have to write how many listings do they have. You can see some listing IDs like this, they have 4 or 3. So if we click on this, you can see maximum listing if any host can have is 4 listings. And then we can add other things like since what type of property type is that, or things like, because we can only get aggregate values, so we can write average price That is something that we can pick here. And how many host listings do they have? How many super host listings do they have? So we will be able to count those things. So if that is needed. So let's remove average price from here because it is for host listings, and let's keep it like this. One more thing that I will do is this is showing count of listing IDs. So we'll rename for this visual as count. That will be sufficient. Then we will have better option to do this. And actually, if we have to find host listings that are host, obviously distinct count will give us total number of distinct hosts it will give. So this is number of hosts, which is number of distinct hosts, but host listing will be with the help of count. Similarly, superhost listing will also be with the help of count, because how many listing has these hosts made. And now once you will change that, you will be able to see that for this listing ID they have actually 4 count of listings, and all of them are host listings. For them, for example, for this host, they have 4 listings, 2 are host listings and 2 are super host, 3 1. So this way you will be able to see that. So you can see either you can do that, or you can arrange it in terms of listing ID. So this is that, and now it is asking top 5. So question is asking top host, who are the top 5 hosts with most listings. Okay, so this will be easy. So host listings is all, this is given. So we will add listing ID here as a filter, and listing ID is in top n of, again we will add listing ID because we want count. So, or we actually have created this, but let's add it here, top 5 by count of listing ID, apply filter. So, and actually I did it here by mistake, sorry. So here we will do that. So here listing ID is all, instead of that we select top n 5, and listing ID we will add here, and we'll select count because it is asking count of listing ID. And now we will have this. Why we are having many values? Because the count is same for many of them, like count 4 is there for many of them. That's why whoever has that count 4 is coming here. So now when they are asking Superhost impact, like what is the average price and rating for Superhost versus regular host listings, one thing that you can do is you can create 2 charts and answer them separately. So I will get rid of these charts. Let's add this. So this is showing average price by property type. So, and what it is asking is average price whether it is superhost or host. So instead of property type, we can simply write whether it is superhost or not. So host is superhost or not, which will give you the average price value. You can click here and get the data labels to see the average price. So it is showing average price by host is superhost, and this is showing 175. So you can see, and we can try to increase the value, but obviously as per available space we'll be able to do that. Next it is asking is what is the average rating. So we can create another copy, and here we can keep this, and we can select the average rating from here. So rating is given, rating is score. We can add the rating score, and this is showing sum of rating. We can say what is average rating. So you can see when host is super host, average rating is more, and we can create a simple clustered bar chart. So this is average of rating is score by host is super is host, and average of price by host is super host. And if you want, you can, because one axis is common in both, so we can actually create a clustered chart and show both of them. But actually they have different number values. That's why either we can keep it separate, or we can change it to a line and a stack chart, and in line axis we can add the rating score, because now two units will be automatically adjusted. So here we will select average. So you can see it is showing it is 4.6, it is 4.8, and this is showing that average price for Superhost is actually low, but its rating is more. So here we can enable or disable data labels to see that value. So either you can show it in the same graph, or you can show it in a separate graph, as you can see here. Now I can actually add one more question here, like host since is given, like since when these hosts are working as hosts or listed as host in this Airbnb listing, which is for Italy. Now here what we can do, we can select x-axis, and x-axis is host since. On y-axis we can show count of listing ID, so it will help us in understanding how many listings were made in each year or at each time frame that is given here. And then in these charts you will also find a legend. So here something that is categorical, like host is super host or not, these type of things can be added as a legend, or we can now change it as a area chart also. So, and we can copy format painter and apply here. So this is count of listing ID by year and host is super host. So we can create another title, and so I'm just calling as number of host listing and super host listing by time. If you click here, so now it will be by quarter. If you click here, this will be by month. So whatever time you want to take, you can answer the question, because these lines will help you. Or you can remove other elements like year, quarter, and show by month. So I will keep it as year, because this shows since starting how many listings have been there, and you can see the peak was around this particular value, and year was around 2015. So this is where most number of listings were there. So this way you can create some more questions as well. So I will list this question also here, the fifth question. And now these answers are part 3 by year, month, quarter, or day, whatever is asked in the question. So try this part as well. Till now we have done 3 parts. We'll come with part 4 and part 5 in the next chapter. Please like this video, subscribe to our channel so that you can receive the notification when the next part will be uploaded. We have many other tutorials as well, where we have done a series of videos with more than 30 DAX expressions and code to solve those questions. This one is a simpler one, so you can check them out as well. Thanks once again. If you have any doubts or suggestions, give them in the comment section below.